I have focused my recent research and studies on Laurales. Laurales are an order of plants which are mostly aromatic evergreen trees and shrubs. The most famous of these plants belong in the laurel family. Bay laurel, cinnamon, and avocado are examples of these, but actually laurels are a large family with many species and great diversity, and I was unfamiliar with most of them. Laurels have a worldwide distribution in tropical and warm climates. They even give their name to a habitat which is called the laurel forest. In these subtropical forests, there are mostly evergreen and hardwood trees, which may not belong to the laurel family, but mostly laurels or their close relatives are present. Laurel forests once covered much of the Mediterranean basin when the climate of the region was more humid. Laurel family is ancient and people used the laurels for different purposes for centuries. Perhaps one of the reasons many people know about them is that Laurel wreath have been used traditionally since classical antiquity. Laurus nobilis, which has the common name of true laurel, is originally used to create these wreaths. The laurel wreath is a powerful symbol of triumph and victory that has been revered since ancient times, traditionally worn as a crown around the head or as a garland around the neck. It has its roots in ancient Greece. In Greek mythology, Apollo, the god of music, poetry, and prophecy, is often depicted with a laurel wreath. In today's language, the laurel wreath continues to be synonymous with success and achievement. The expression resting on one's laurels refers to relying too much on past accomplishments, while looking to one's laurels means staying vigilant to maintain one's position in the face of competition. Apollo's association with laurel wreath comes from the myth of Apollo and Daphne. Apollo angered Eros, the god of love, who then shot Apollo with a golden arrow, filling him with love for Daphne, a river nymph. However, Eros shot Daphne with a lead arrow, making her detest Apollo. As Apollo pursued her, she begged to be freed, and she was transformed into a laurel tree. Apollo, determined to honor her, declared the laurel tree sacred, ensuring its evergreen nature and crafting a wreath from its branches. In another version of the myth, Apollo fell in love with Daphne. When she rejected his advances, she was turned into a laurel tree by Gaia, the earth goddess. In her honor, Apollo wore a wreath made of laurel branches, which became a symbol associated with him. These tales solidified the laurel as a cultural symbol for poets, musicians, and athletes alike. This symbol was not only associated with Apollo, but it was also awarded to victors in athletic competitions like the ancient Olympics, where winners were crowned with a wreath made from wild olive tree branches. Laurel wreaths were used in ancient Greece as symbols of high status, especially in the Pythian games, which honored Apollo. The priestess of Apollo, known as the Pythia, would chew on laurel leaves or shake a laurel branch while delivering prophecies. Those who received favorable omens were crowned with their laurel wreaths representing Apollo's favor. This symbolism carried over to Roman culture, where the laurel was linked with victory, immortality, and prosperity. Roman emperors, starting with Augustus, wore laurel wreaths to signify their power and connection to Apollo. Augustus's wife, Livia, famously planted laurels which grew into a grove that became a source for laurel crowns used by future emperors. Also, in ancient Rome, laurel wreaths started to take on a different connotation, symbolizing military success. A victorious commander would be crowned with a laurel wreath. In some parts of the world, the laurel wreath still holds academic significance. For example, in Italy, the wreath is traditionally given to students upon completing their degrees. The term laureato, which means graduate, comes from this tradition. After the graduation ceremony, students wear laurel wreaths to celebrate their achievement, a practice that originated at the University of Padua and has since spread throughout Italian universities. This tradition is also present in other academic settings around the world, but beyond academia, the laurel wreath has been a popular decorative motif in architecture and art, particularly during the Empire period. It is often seen carved into stone or applied as a decorative element in furniture, symbolizing honor and prestige. In heraldry, laurel wreaths are used as a symbol of honor and achievement, often appearing in coats of arms and surrounding shields. Even in modern times, companies like to use this symbol in their logos. While ancient wreaths were often depicted as horseshoe-shaped, modern versions are usually complete rings symbolizing a full cycle of victory. Whether in ancient myth or modern tradition, the laurel wreath remains a timeless emblem of victory and accomplishment. True laurel tree is not only used for making wreath. The plant is the source of several well-known herbs and one spice commonly used in a variety of dishes, particularly in Mediterranean cuisine. The aromatic leaves are often added whole to Italian pasta sauces and are typically removed before serving, though they can also be used as a garnish. Whole bay leaves have a shelf life of about a year when stored under normal conditions. They are primarily used to add flavor during cooking. Ground bay leaves, on the other hand, are safe to consume and are frequently used in soups, stocks, and even in cocktails like Bloody Mary. They are common ingredients in European, American, and Asian dishes. The true laurel is widely cultivated as an ornamental plant in regions with Mediterranean or oceanic climates and as a houseplant or greenhouse plant in colder regions. True laurels are not the only species in the family that are widely used for their different properties. Most other species coming from the same family are rich with essential oils and used for spices. Some species are even valued for sources of medicinal material. They are valued as fragrances and used as perfumes. Most laurels are poisonous, so they are used to repel parasitic organisms or insects, and their fragrant woods are prized for making insect-repellent furniture, chests, and cabinets, and many species are exploited for timber. Habitat loss and overexploitation for these products have endangered many species due to extensive deforestation, widespread illegal logging, and habitat transformation. But laurels are an important part of ecology. As humans, we are not the only users of them. The fruits are also an important source of food for birds. Some laurels have symbiotic relationships with different insects like ants. These trees are an important part of forest habitats like laurel forests and cloud forests, and many species can adapt to different habitats also. The fruits of laurels are drupes, which means one seeded fleshy fruit with a hard layer surrounding the seed. Avocados can be a typical example for this. For some species, the appearance of the fruits are similar to acorn. I spent some time working on different fruits from the laurel family, so here are some examples of those drupes and acorn-like fruits. I enjoyed working on these. I did not want to work on the trees because of the trees looked similar since all the species I worked on these studies are relatives, and I feel like you have to be a scientist to distinguish between them, but the flowers or fruits of species make them easily identifiable, so I wanted to have a page of illustrations just focusing on the distinct looking fruits of the family. But the most famous fruit from the laurel family of plants is obviously avocado. It has other common names as alligator pear or avocado pear. The avocado is native to the Americas, and there is evidence of the use of avocados dating back to 9,000, 10,000 years, and they have been cultivated in Central and South America since about 5000 BC. The plant was introduced to Spain in 17th century, Indonesia in 18th century, and various other regions over time by 19th century. It has always been highly valued for its large, rich, and uniquely oily fruit. Avocados mature while still on the tree but ripen after being harvested. For commercial purposes, they are picked when firm and green, then stored in coolers. Avocados are widely used in different cuisines around the world. Today, it is cultivated in the tropical and Mediterranean climates. However, in major avocado-producing areas like Chile, Mexico, and California, avocado farms strain local water resources and contribute to issues like deforestation and human rights concerns. Global warming is expected to worsen these problems with heat waves and drought affecting suitable growing areas. There are also less known but interesting species of laurels. Most laurels are evergreen, but there's an exception. The genus Casita are parasitic vines. Species of the genus are valued for their perceived medicinal or aphrodisiac properties, and in Caribbean, they have the common name of love vine because of these aphrodisiac properties. The species have interesting fruits, which were fun to draw for me, but they're also ecologically valuable to some fruit-eating birds, although they're also parasitic and can damage its host tree, and they may pass diseases, fungi, and viruses from one host plant to another. Southeastern Australian species are commonly called devil's twine, maybe because they have this different look. Perhaps one of the most economically important genus of plants belonging to the laurel family is Cinnamomum, because of cinnamon production. Most species can be found in the Himalayas and other mountainous regions, as well as in tropical and subtropical montane rainforests. It grows in weed tree forests, valleys, and mixed forests of coniferous and broad-leaved deciduous trees spanning southern China, India, and Southeast Asia. The inner bark of several species is used to make the spice cinnamon. It is primarily used as a fragrant seasoning and flavor enhancer in many cuisines and traditional dishes, both sweet and savory. Cinnamomum verum, known as Ceylon cinnamon, is considered to be true cinnamon and is native to India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Cinnamon has been valued since ancient times, with evidence of its use as early as 2000 BC when it was imported to Egypt. In ancient cultures, cinnamon was so highly prized that it was seen as a gift fit for monarchs and even deities. For example, cinnamon was offered to the temple of Apollo at Miletus. In Egypt, it was used in mummification and in the making of aromatic incense. Many people today use the cinnamon powder casually in their dishes, and most of them do not know that it is made into that powder from the bark of a tree. And I found it very ironic that the origin of cinnamon remained a mystery also throughout history. The ancient Greeks and Romans believed that cinnamon came from Arabia, guarded by mythical creatures or collected by giant birds. Traders created elaborate stories about its origins to protect their trade monopolies and inflate the spice's value. Cinnamon was so expensive that it was rarely used except by the wealthy. For example, Emperor Nero reportedly burned a year's worth of cinnamon at his wife's funeral. Throughout the Middle Ages, the exact source of cinnamon remained a mystery to Europeans. Although they knew it came through Egypt, through the Red Sea, the true origin was unclear. Various myths, including one that it was fished from the Nile, circulated. It wasn't until later that the spice's true origins in India and Sri Lanka became known, especially when European explorers encountered it during their voyages. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the Portuguese, Dutch, and British competed fiercely for control of the cinnamon trade, especially in Sri Lanka, where the spice was abundant. Over time, plantations were established to meet growing demand, cementing cinnamon's role as a prized global commodity. Cinnamon is widely used in both sweet and savory dishes across different cuisines. In Mexico, it's a key ingredient in chocolate preparation, while in the US and Europe, it's commonly paired with sugar to flavor cereals, toast, fruit like apples, and more. It also features in Portuguese and Turkish, Jewish, and Persian dishes, adding flavor to both sweet and savory recipes. In addition to its use in various dishes, cinnamon is also a popular flavoring ingredient in alcoholic beverages. I also found out about different species that I did not know before. For example, in this illustration, I tried to capture sassafras trees, and they have these beautiful colored leaves. I could not include all of the species of laurels. It was impossible to draw them all, but I chose the famous ones because I wanted to learn about them more, and then I picked the ones that I liked visually. Like in this example, the vibrant colors was fun to play around. Sassafras plants have been used for culinary, medicinal, and aromatic purposes. Some species are used in American cuisine, notably in root beer tea and Cajun dishes. Traditional medicine across Native American and East Asian cultures use sassafras for treating wounds and fevers. Sassafras wood was used for shipbuilding and furniture, while sassafras oil has been used in perfumes, insect repellents, and soaps. In the past, sassafras was an important export, and its twigs were used as toothbrushes and fire starters. For example, this is camphor tree, also known as camphor wood or camphor laurel. It is found in warm and subtropical parts of East Asia. It was introduced as an ornamental tree in gardens and parks of Australia, but it became a danger competing with the eucalyptus trees, which are sole food of koalas, so they are now considered as invasive species in Australia. They are also considered invasive in the United States, but the camphor tree has important commercial uses due to its insect repellent quality and it's cultivated for timber production. There is also camphor, a white crystalline substance obtained from the camphor tree. It has been used for centuries as a spice in incense, medicine, and as an insect and flea repellent. In Japan, certain trees are regarded as sacred. A notable example is a 700-year-old camphor tree enshrined at the center of Kayashima Station. When the station needed expansion, locals opposed relocating the tree, leading to the station being built around it. I also looked at the plants from the Laurales order, which are not in the laurel family. Some of these were from the Hernandia genus. I picked them because they looked really interesting, especially their fruits looked distinctive. I wanted to draw them from several angles. Some of the species are commonly called lantern trees. These fruits look like lanterns on a tree, so visually these trees were the most inspirational part of my whole research, and in this illustration I also included the fruits of Henacartia species, again because of their interesting shapes. I think these were valuable shape design references and can inspire later projects. I also looked at Doryphora sassafras species from another family because I liked the white flowers of the tree and I wanted to work on them. These are called yellow sassafras or golden deal commonly, and it is a flowering plant endemic to eastern Australia. It grows as a shrub or tree with elliptic leaves and white flowers that bloom in autumn and winter. It thrives in temperate rainforests on basalt and sedimentary soils. Its yellowish soft timber is used in flooring, tourney, and cabinet work. It is also used in reforestation and has potential as a potted specimen. And my last pick was Calicanthus genus. Again, I picked 3 different species from this genus because of their flowers that I could not resist to draw. These plants are shrubs and commonly called sweet shrubs or spice bushes. And they're cultivated as ornamental plant in plant nurseries, especially in England and United States. They are suitable for planting in traditional native plant and wildlife gardens, and for natural landscaping and habitat restoration projects, planting in gardens as a specimen shrub or for hedges. And if a species have nice flowers, most of the time people work on cultivars for these species, so there are also many cultivars. And working on Laurales order taught me many things. I enjoyed the studies on flowers, particularly the different shaped fruits of Hernandia species. Learning about the history of laurels, cinnamon, and avocados was also valuable, and the cultural impact and the symbolism were very inspirational. These kinds of details can be useful in a world-building project. Are there spices like cinnamon or fruits like avocados in your world, or will you use them directly? Will there be a myth surrounding a tree like the laurel tree? The Laurel Wreath's symbolism continues to this day, evolving from the Apollo and Daphne myth to be used in Olympics or academia. These studies have left me with many questions for world building, providing the inspiration I was seeking. I will continue this journey of learning and hopefully I will have another study like this soon.